by NDTV have released shocking new details about the release of Bilkis Bano's rapists. A court document shows that the premature release of 11 men convicted for the gang rape of Bilkis Bano and killing of her family during the 2002 Gujarat riots was approved by the Home Ministry within just 2 weeks, and that the CBI and a special court had opposed the clearance. The Gujarat government on Monday told the Supreme Court that the men were released as they had been in jail for 14 years and their behavior was found to be good, and the centre had also conveyed its approval. The convicts had walked free on Independence Day under an outdated remission policy of the state government, setting off a huge political controversy. The Supreme Court is hearing 3 petitions from CPM Politburo member Subhashini Ali, Trinamool Congress MP Mahua Moitra and one other person challenging the release of the men. Srinivasan Jain brings us the details of this emerging news.
The sort of shocking details that have now emerged from the state government, the Gujarat government actually filing an affidavit which runs close to 500 pages to the Supreme Court justifying why they released these men, has actually uncovered the paper trail of all those who are behind this startling release. Starting off, of course, the big news being that the centre, the Home Ministry itself, signed off on the release of these men. We already knew that the Gujarat government had said that they have released these men on account of the fact that these men were well behaved both in jail and during their parole. But now it emerges that the centre not just cleared the release of these 11 men, but also did that in just a span of about 2 weeks. According to these court documents accessed by NDTV, the Gujarat government writes to the centre on the 28th of June of this year saying that will they get the go-ahead to release these men. The Home Ministry replies on the 10th of July, literally, as I said, in the span of about 14 days, saying that yes, they can go ahead and release these 11 men. What makes this all the more shocking is that this is despite objections, strong objections, both by the CBI, which actually investigated these men, the case, and was the prosecuting agency, as well as the special court in Mumbai, which actually convicted these men. The CBI told the Gujarat government in response to its letter that the offence by the Bilkis rapists was heinous, grave and serious, and that they cannot be released early. The special court said that the Bilkis rape convicts committed the worst form of hate crime, that even pregnant women and minors were not spared, and that Bilkis and her family were attacked on grounds of religion, and therefore these convicts do not deserve early release. So you had objections by not one, but by 2 different entities, the CBI and the special court, saying quite clearly that there are grave reasons not to release these 11 men. But despite that, as we saw, there was an attempt not just to release them, but almost fast-track the release of these convicts.
Now, what's also emerged is that during the course of their incarceration, the Bilkis rape convicts got thousands of days of parole. They were even cited for good behavior despite complaints. Vasu brings us those details.
This is another dimension to the story which is emerging from these court documents, that even before they were actually fully and formally released by the Gujarat government, these men actually enjoyed thousands of days of freedom, even though they'd been convicted of a grave offence, ranging in the case of most of these men from anywhere up to 3.5 to almost 4 years, if you total up all the days that they'd been released, as I said, amounting to thousands of days for each of these men, for both what is called parole as well as furlough. Now again, this seems highly unusual given the gravity of the crime, that these men, remember, just once again were convicted of gang raping Bilkis, of killing members of her family and including killing a minor. For them to be given such long periods of release seems highly unusual and does raise a question mark about whether the intent all along was to release them in a full and final way. Again, Gargi, this is important because remember that there have been multiple media reports suggesting that the witnesses in this case, as well as those who are associated with Bilkis's family, have filed multiple complaints to the police saying that these men would be, out on days of parole, enjoying freedom, and also threatening and harassing them. So there was a whole record of these men actually, according to these allegations, not really meeting the standards of their parole. But despite that, it seems that they were granted, as I said, months, if not years of parole, but also that so-called good behavior was cited as a reason to release them once and for all. So serious questions there that have emerged. The Supreme Court, of course, is hearing this, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
All right, so these new details emerging as the Supreme Court will be taking up the case today, and this after documents submitted by the Gujarat government. The Supreme Court will hear pleas against the convicts released today. It will be a two-judge bench of Justice Ajay Rastogi and Justice C.T. Ravi Kumar who will hear the pleas against the release of the Bilkis rapists.